Welcome to number 3 in the Calmness in Mind process, and in this video we'll be exploring how our feelings and our thoughts and our emotions all work together. So a quick reminder from the last video, what I told you, we were emotional creatures who learn to think and care for what you think about because your unconscious mind, which controls your body, responds to all your thoughts as if they're true and gives you the corresponding emotions regardless of what's happening in reality. Now, if you still don't understand what I'm saying, please go back and watch the last video. If you do know what I'm pointing to, then that's great. Let's dig deeper. And if you know what I'm saying, but you don't necessarily believe me, then this video is where I hope your mind can finally say, oh yeah, I can see where he's going with all of this. Now, as I learned to let go of my own anxiety, one of the most profound realizations I ever had was that your body can't heal your mind, okay? But your mind can heal your body. Let me say that again. Your body can't heal your mind, but your mind can heal the body. A worried feeling in your body won't stop your mind from worrying. However, by stopping the mind from worrying, the anxiety in the body can be changed. Therefore, if anxiety is in our body, we need to heal it from our mind. Not by focusing on what our biology does, but by paying attention to what our brain is doing and change, using every tool we can, the old programs that are running inside our heads. And for those people who are experiencing OCD, obsessive thoughts and compulsions, please be patient. Even if we're not specifically talking about OCD at the moment, I'm not ignoring you. However, OCD sits on top of anxiety. And there's absolutely no way of getting around that fact. You do your compulsions because you will get anxious if you don't. And for now, please just trust me. I'm going to go deeply into OCD when the time is right. But for now, let's learn more about anxiety. And for those of you experiencing depression, you may find that this too could stem from an underlying anxiety, even if you're too numb to actually feel it. I guess the significant message that I truly hope comes across here is the relationship between the mind and the body via your central nervous system. I think it can be compared to that like between the conductor of an orchestra and the orchestra itself. Each section of the orchestra knows what to do, and each individual in the orchestra knows what to do. And if the conductor wasn't there, well, they'd probably play okay. But if you can introduce a conductor who can keep everyone in rhythm so they can focus on their own tasks and not worry about anybody else, exceptional things start to happen. You know? The body can't heal the mind, but the mind can heal the body. And of course, if the mind can heal the body, it can also bring disruptions into the body, as if the conductor was reading from the wrong score. And this is why it's so important to calm your mind, okay, as the body will also then calm down. And once again, as we proceed through this course, I'll be teaching you how to do this. I'll be teaching you how to calm your mind, how to stop thinking. Now, back in my 30s, when my own emotional overwhelm was at its worst, depression and anxiety had a firm hold on me. And I remember on so many occasions being at fun events or in enjoyable situations, yet not feeling happy. I suppose I was happy in my head, but I didn't feel pleasant emotions in my body. So I would think, well, this is very nice, or that's a beautiful sunset, but really did I feel it? I seldom had really wonderful visceral sensations or expressive feelings of joy or happiness. And nowadays I do. I have pleasant feelings, nice emotions, joyful expressions from the smallest of happenings around me, from the activities that I choose to engage with. So let's explore some of the emotional differences between a person without anxiety and a person who has some form of anxiety disorder or depression. And perhaps the best way to do this is to look at it from 4 different perspectives. Firstly, as I've no depression or anxiety, when I do something, it usually feels really good. And because things feel good to me, I enjoy planning them, I enjoy doing them, and often I think about nice things just because the act of thinking about something nice, regardless of whether it's true or not, gives my body a nice feeling. However, and I am exaggerating here a little, when your emotions are all mixed up through anxiety or depression, you may do something interesting, yet it doesn't actually feel fun. You know what you're doing is good in your head, but you don't get that lovely warm feeling on the inside. It's like fun things feel a bit numbed. And often, if things don't feel fun, you might tend to go out less, or you may plan fewer activities, or you might need to do more and more exciting things to get even the simplest of pleasures. Basically, good things don't feel that good. So that's the first difference. The second difference is the opposite. For a calm, happy person, bad things sometimes feel a little uncomfortable. Not in an anxious way, more in a, well, this is disrupting my calmness kind of way. Yeah? If something needs fixing, or a person is annoying me, or a decision isn't made, my emotions get a little irritated. And because I feel a little disturbed, I take action to fix the problem, or remove myself from the annoying person, or I decide what I need to do to make that uncomfortable feeling go away. There's lots of movement, based on my emotions. Now, with an anxious person, and I'm not talking here about anxiety per se, I'm talking about life in general. When something needs fixing, or a person gets annoyed, or a decision needs to be made, instead of an uncomfortable emotion, there's often just a feeling of numbness, or apathy, or detachment. It's like, yeah, I suppose that needs sorting out. I'll put that on my to-do list. Maybe I'll look at that next week. Or a friend calls you and you agree to do something for them. And as you put the phone down, you say, oh, why did I say yes? I don't want to do that. And because your emotions are numbed, rather than irritating you, like with a happy person, there's no drive to fix things, or to say no, or to make decisions, so that the problems get sorted out. Therefore, procrastination and lack of decision making are very prevalent in many people who experience anxiety and depression. Good things don't feel good, bad things don't feel bad. Your emotions become numbed, turned down. Yeah? And that often means it's very hard for you to make decisions. Remember what I taught you in the last video? We're emotional creatures who learn to think. We make decisions unconsciously with our emotions. And because your emotions are all messed up, it's very hard for you to make decisions at the moment. So those are the first two differences, which are just simple life events. Let me go into more detail. Let's look at anxiety, depression, and stress. Anxiety is a repeated emotional overwhelm, where you're having the right emotion just at the wrong time and the wrong intensity. Like I said to you before, if you were standing on the edge of a cliff, that emotion would be acceptable. But because you're standing in Starbucks, it feels like it's not acceptable. Depression is an underwhelm, an apathy, a heaviness. You wake up and say, oh, what's the point? What's the point? And stress is kind of a pain in the middle of your chest, which may kick off more anxiety, but can easily be defined as the difference between what is happening right now versus what your mind wants to be happening right now. You're in location A, but your body wants to be in location B. She's serving you very slowly when you want to serve you quickly. There's only 10 minutes left, but you need 35 minutes. And so it goes on. For me, I don't have anxiety anymore, and I don't have depression anymore. And by understanding what stress is, I minimize its effects on my life by taking action, yet not really worrying about outcomes, or by letting go of the need for perfection or control, and by relinquishing my fear of being judged. Good things feel good, so I go and do them. Bad things feel bad, so I fix them or I say no. There's no anxiety, there's no depression, and the simplest thing just feels very nice. And on the whole, there's only limited stress in my life by my own definition of stress. Compare that to a person who's battling their emotions. Good things don't feel so good, so what's the point doing them? Bad things don't feel so bad, so they're just numb, so procrastination and lack of decision making prevail. Anxiety overwhelms you, depression underwhelms you, and stress, well, stress stresses you out, which we could probably call another form of anxiety. Of course, I'm exaggerating here a little to make a point, but sadly, not that much. And when we look at the fourth comparison, for this we peer into what I call vice land. For vice, read smoking, shopping, drinking, drugs, computer games, affairs, sex, pornography, food, you know what the list is. And generally, for a happy, calm, emotionally balanced individual, it may be that they don't need to go there, or it may be fun to momentarily pop into that world, have a nice evening, and then pop out again. They enjoy it, and they don't beat themselves up. They don't need to live there every day. However, for some people, after years of emotional turmoil, good things not feeling good, and the numbness of bad things not feeling bad, and the overwhelm of anxiety, the underwhelm of depression, the exhaustion of stress, not even, before we even mention OCD, sometimes you're so tired that the only fleeting feelings of emotional well-being you get may be via food or shopping or drink. And even then, for most people, that fleeting feeling is so quickly enveloped by feelings of guilt or the self-abuse of beating yourself up for having done that thing. So if you have your own Viceland thing, recognize this. If it's the only aspect of your life that gives you some even short-term pleasure, it's going to be very hard for you to let go of that until you've got all your other emotions under control. And once I teach you how to lift depression and factor anxiety out of your life, your emotions will slowly come back online. Small things will start to feel good again. Decision making will come back online again. Yeah? And then you can work on these behaviors knowing that you're now just changing a habit rather than fueling an emotional need. Now I hope patterns are starting to emerge in your mind about how we humans think, how we feel, and what huge roles emotions play in our lives. Put simply, those people with anxiety, depression, OCD and stress become biologically exhausted. And if you've been doing your homework, reading about the fight or flight response, you'll have become very aware of how negatively the body responds to the continued release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisone, and the effect they have on suppressing your immune system and overwhelming your chemistry and therefore your biology. Therefore, if we're going to start the journey of recovery to find emotional calmness, a quiet mind, and to become the real you, deeply understanding how you function and dispelling erroneous beliefs, it's such a great starting point. Personally, when I learn something new, I don't necessarily trust or believe what I learn. I like to test everything. And two of the statements that I wanted to prove to myself were, firstly, your body responds to your thoughts as if they're true. And secondly, the fact that you can actively placebo yourself. And by placebo, I mean the body's ability to be tricked into thinking by thought alone. You know, the way that you can just think something and the body's tricked into acting a certain way. And we're going to talk more about this in later videos. But for now, I want to show you as best I can that both those statements are true. And I hope I can scare you a little, or at least get your full attention with what you're about to learn. So I'm going to plug myself into a galvanic skin response meter. I'll just put my electrodes on here. And this is a galvanic skin response meter. Put simply, it measures the conductivity of my skin and registers any fluctuations in sweat on my skin. If the number goes up, it means my hand has sweated a little. And as the sweat evaporates, the number goes back down again. So for my hand to suddenly sweat, it means that it has responded to the release of chemicals from my central nervous system because it's been stimulated in some way. And we're going to call that an emotion. Now, we can't define what that emotion actually is, whether it's love or fear, anxiety. However, we can see that an emotion has occurred, and we can see the intensity of that emotion in response to what we are thinking in that moment. Now, usually there's a lag of about 1 second between a thought from the conscious mind and the response from within the body from commands sent by our unconscious mind. So let's have a little fun and see what happens when we think in certain ways. There'll be a little bit of noise on the system because as I'm talking to you, my body's responding, but I'll try and keep as calm as I can in between these demonstrations. So let's begin by me tricking myself. So what I'm going to do is invoke my own subconscious, involuntary startle response. It's what naturally happens to you if something makes you jump, like a loud noise or a sudden movement in your peripheral vision. It primes you ready for the fight or flight response, so you can quickly respond to the dangers around you. But basically, I'm going to make myself jump. Now, what invokes the startle response is a sudden movement, a sharp intake of breath, and a fast internal or external dialogue. So here we go. I'm going to make myself jump, even though I know that I'm going to do this. So if I say to myself, oh my God, what was that? What was that noise? Okay. We wait a second or two and the number goes flying up. And you can clearly see how my subconscious mind thought a dangerous situation had occurred. It sent the alarm to my body via the central nervous system, which flooded me with stress chemicals, even though it was wrong. Nothing dangerous happening here. I was pretending. I was pretending. I consciously knew that it was fake. But my subconscious mind didn't. Remember how I keep reminding you, they're on separate systems. They're not even communicating clearly with language. So let me give you another example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that I'm going to slap myself around the face. So here we go. So just me thinking about slapping myself around the face, there's been a slight stress in my body. My unconscious thought it was true. Now let's take it a step further. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to pretend to slap myself around the face. But before I hit myself, I'm going to stop. I know I'm going to stop. So here we go. We wait a second or two, and you can see my body has just responded. My body's just responded as if it has just been slapped. Just think about this. Just because I consciously knew I would stop, my subconscious mind didn't. They're two different systems. One knew I would stop, the other one didn't. The other one thought I was going to be slapped, and it prepared my body for contact. Can you begin to glimpse how placebo may be operating? Just because we might consciously know something is true, it doesn't mean we unconsciously know. Now let me take it a step further. Okay, and now I'm going to slap myself. So here we go. We wait a second or two for the emotions to go up. And there we have it. So whether I think about it, or go to do it and stop, or even slap myself, my unconscious is just responding to the story. Now let's take this further. Let me now show you how this works within a person with OCD or anxiety. I'm going to pretend to be anxious. I'm going to be talking out loud. However, your inner dialogue will be doing the same thing. Bear in mind I'm pretending. So here we go. I'm sorry, I can't get on that aeroplane. I know it's stupid, but I'm just freaking out on the inside. My heart's racing, I'm all sweaty. You go on holiday without me, I'll be fine. You just go without me. When those doors slam, I just feel so trapped and so claustrophobic, and the sound of the engines, the turbulence, I just can't do it. You go without me. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Look, you be fine. I'll be fine. Can you see how much stress hormones have been released? Even though I'm pretending. Actually, I can feel my heart racing. My unconscious mind doesn't know that I'm pretending. Two different systems. Are you seeing the patterns yet? This is really important. Let me try this again, but let me do it completely differently. Here we go. I'm sorry, I just can't get on that aeroplane. I know it's stupid. I know flying's safe, but I'm freaking out on the inside. My heart's racing. I'm all sweaty. I just can't go on holiday. You go without me. When those doors slam shut, I just feel so trapped, so claustrophobic. The sound of the engines, the turbulence, I just can't do it. You go without me. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But please go. I'll be fine. What a difference. Okay? But I said the same words, but the machine didn't move. Your subconscious is not listening to your words. It mostly doesn't understand words. It's responding to the tonality and the speed of talking, the tenseness in your body, movements and any images that is logged away and marked erroneously as dangerous. Therefore, you need to learn how to placebo, to trick your own subconscious mind by talking softly, slowly and gently all the time, and by keeping your movements gentle and slow. The police and club doormen, they're trained to do this. It keeps them and it keeps you safe and calm during times of stress or danger. Imagine a police officer. Calm down, sir. I know you're angry. Take your time. Let me know what happened. Take a breath or two. You'll be fine. We're here now. And this is step one in addressing your anxiety. Keep your body still. Let it just flop or sag. Don't move around. Accept that hormones have been released into you by mistake. The misunderstanding of your subconscious mind. Stop talking to others or trying to control the situation, and just consciously talk over all the unasked for chatter in your mind, softly, slowly, and gently. What you actually say consciously in your mind or out loud is really quite irrelevant. Banana, banana, apple, apple, orange, orange. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. All we're doing is gently calming and tricking our subconscious mind to turn off the anxiety signals. Don't worry about why the anxiety has happened. I'm going to teach you about that. Plus, I'll be showing you many more techniques to interrupt the anxiety and to calm yourself down. For now, this is all about understanding what you're actually dealing with. Can you see that a person who can knowingly trick their mind and their body into not being fired off, or can even see when it's beginning to happen and then stop it, or even get anxious and then calm themselves quickly down, will be putting much less strain on the biology of their own body? It's like a calm person is a car ticking over at 700 revs per minute, whereas a person with OCD or anxiety is revving up all the time at, don't worry about this, and 3,000, 4,000 revs, is exhausting. Anxiety and depression are the chemical imbalance, the symptom of having lived too long at an elevated level of biological distress through thinking and worrying too much. And this may have come from the circumstances of your life, from your job, from relationships, or from some form of emotional or physical trauma or abuse, or just from being who you are. Maybe you're just a worrying or a fearful type character. Once again, it doesn't matter. But if you're watching this video, it means you're probably quite intelligent. You probably think too much. You probably have quite a complex personality. And it's likely that you worry about what people think of you. Basically, a nice person. And just, this is the perfect profile to fall into the anxiety and depression trap. I'm sorry, but it just is. And when they're binging all day, it conspires to trap you the only way it knows how. With the logic of the child and the goal to try and make you stay at home. And it will do this by making you feel subconsciously worried or scared at certain things in your life. It'll make you start to doubt yourself. And we call this anxiety. Or it might turn the wick down on your thinking and your emotions so that you feel tired and crap and can't make decisions, and we call this depression. Now, depression sometimes comes on its own, or it follows periods of anxiety. And OCD is the condition which anxiety sometimes morphs into within certain individuals who have intelligent subconscious minds that can spin them into control loops, or have suffered some sort of additional trauma, or had some very sort of self-conscious periods of their life, feeling shy, self-conscious, self-worth issues, maybe from within themselves or put upon them from other people. Either way, all these conditions are the symptoms of thinking and worrying too much. Residual trauma, unresolved conflicts, poor lifestyle choices, and an acceptance of who you are rather than who you could become. And we're going to change all of these. Now, please don't think I'm dismissing the seriousness of how you feel, or the severity of your thoughts, or the intrusiveness of the things that may have happened to you. I'm just pointing out that by focusing on your symptoms, anxiety and depression, we're missing changing the underlying cause, which is your emotional exhaustion, your subconscious sabotage to keep you at home, your self-doubt, your fear, and the reduced ability for you to make decisions, perhaps a lack of a big dream for your life, and confusion of who you really are. So now we're starting to get closer to understanding what you're dealing with. However, there are still a few large steps for you to understand about anxiety, OCD and depression. And as we move through the videos, I'm going to explain all these to you. So a quick summary. After long periods of anxiety or worry, people's emotions become numbed, uncalibrated, turned down. When emotions are not working, decision making becomes impaired because we actually make decisions subconsciously with our gut and we feel it through our emotions. Anxiety overwhelms us, depression underwhelms us, and stress is really just the difference between what is happening right now and the story in your mind about how you would like it to be happening right now. Many of our bad habits, like overeating and drinking, are hard to stop if our emotions are not working well. And just because we consciously know something, it doesn't mean our unconscious knows it. We're learning now that our unconscious is trickable. And because our unconscious tells the body what to do, if we can trick our unconscious, we can trick our bodies. Our bodies respond to the tonality and the speed of our thinking and our talking rather than the actual words we use. Therefore, when we're nervous, we need to talk softly, slowly and gently to soothe our central nervous system. And finally, your homework. I'd like you to go back to video 1, video 2, watch this video 3, keep watching them. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is about repetition. It's about realizing new things and it's about reprogramming your subconscious mind. These videos are priming your subconscious mind verbally, visually and metaphorically. I know it can feel consciously dull, but your problem is in the communication between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So just smile, keep watching, and keep slowly updating your subconscious. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Anxiety, OCD, and depression are addictions. Now, what's the definition of addiction? Addiction is something that you can't consciously stop. Therefore, your problem is held subconsciously. And knowing the answer consciously is almost irrelevant. Repetition reprograms the subconscious mind. I would like you to practice making your conscious internal dialogue slow. And each time that you're anxious or upset, talk softly and gently whilst relaxing and sagging and slumping your body. Just allow the emotions to come up, be there and move out of you. Just relax into it, just sag into it. There is a stillness within yourself, and if you can find this stillness with a soft dialogue, you can let anxiety move around you. It's a really interesting place to be, and I'll be taking you there later on. We're going to go deeply into anxiety interrupts in future videos. For now, we're just looking at the basics. And finally, I'd like you to consider how you might use placebo to trick your own unconscious mind. So rather than thinking, oh my God, this is so scary, you can gently say, it'll be fine, or I can do this, or we can let that go. Yeah? We're just soothing our own anxiety responses. Fib to yourself. I give you permission. In the next video, I'll be teaching you what happens when the biological exhaustion from worrying too much or from traumatic events turn into anxiety and OCD. So keep watching the videos. If you like them, please share, spread the word, do the homework, and I will see you shortly in the next video. So thanks for watching.